Thank you. Welcome, Minister. Mola Noiga agus Chucky She. Praise the young and they will flourish. Many of us will recall this saying, Irish saying from our school days. Indeed, there is great wisdom and merit in that saying. Praise can only do so much. The youth of Ireland need support, especially as we emerge from 14 to 15 months of rolling lockdowns, which have affected them severely. 15 months is a long time in anyone's life, particularly a child or a young person. Young people are at a crucial time of personal development. At the same time, they are trying to progress in education, sport, socially and in the workplace too. There has been a growing body of expert opinion and research on the manifold harms that lockdowns have had on people, and in the context of this discussion on young people, I would call for a critical look at whether all aspects of restrictions affecting young people were necessary, proportionate and medically justified. Understandably, the impact of the NPHET and government-imposed lockdowns on the mental health and well-being of teenagers is critically important to allow us to respond in a more nuanced way in the future. Dr. Caroline Heary from the School of Psychology in NUI Galway has said that these prolonged periods of social distancing are occurring during a critical stage of life of our teenagers. Social interactions are of paramount importance for our young people. The social environment is critical for brain development, the development of self and general well-being. Like many other demographic groups, the youth have all been in the same storm, but have not all weathered the storm in the same vessel. Research and anecdotal evidence alike indicate that the lockdowns have impacted more severely on the youth than others. I have been inundated with heartbreaking accounts of hardship endured by parents and families of children and adolescents with special needs. It is a moral imperative that we do not leave anyone out of the recovery. There are already too many people contending with disadvantage and find themselves at the periphery of society and excluded from economic participation. Minister Gorman, I believe you to be a caring and genuine person. I ask you to do all you can to mobilise the resources of your department to support the young people with disability, their families, carers and organisations that assist them. Speaking of my own amendment, I would propose that an interdepartmental approach be taken between the Departments of Children, Education and Sport, Arts and Mental Health, respectively, to design a scheme which is universally available to young people to provide them with free access to a range of different pursuits. In the spirit of the Fine Gael motion, I would encourage engagement with young people themselves for ideas as to the range and breadth of activities that might be included in any such scheme. The next step might be to invite expressions of interest from the private sector in the range of areas that have been identified. Services and amenities for the young people in this country are sorely lacking compared to our European peers and have suffered from decades of underinvestment. Lockdowns have merely served to magnify these failures. The housing crisis, low wages, unemployment, lockdown, disruption to education and healthcare, and the lack of social outlets have all put tremendous strain on our young people. Prior to the pandemic, our youth were already finding themselves being relegated to the bottom of the social and economic chart, and I have well-founded fear that the pandemic could deepen the intergenerational inequality. The COVID-adjusted youth unemployment figures for April floored me, 61.8%. To put this statistic in perspective, it is over double the peak rate of youth unemployment after the 2008 economic crash, a crash that sparked another lamentable Irish diaspora. Behind the appalling statistics, however, are literally hundreds and thousands of young people. People in the spring and summer of their lives with hopes, dreams and aspirations that need to be nurtured, not crushed. It behoves those in government to deploy all the available resources of the state to support our youth, to give them options other than the option to obtain a COVID-19 cert and a one-way plane ticket to distant shores. Government's voted current expenditure running to almost 75 billion in budget 2001. In light of this, should we be applauding an increase of 5 million in funding for youth services? Can we not see the value of investing more in our youth? I would urge government to do everything possible to assist the private sector to generate employment opportunities. I do believe that Minister Simon Harris is doing really well with regard to youth unemployment. We must do everything possible to support enterprise, advanced education and training opportunities. I fully endorse the amendments brought forward by my independent colleagues, which put flesh on the bones of these motions. If I may conclude by quoting and warning from Baron Rowantree, an economist at the ERSI and a co-author of the report Poverty, Income, Inequality and Living Standards in Ireland. These findings should be a cause of serious concern. While the most serious medical impacts of COVID have been on older people, it is clear that the greatest impact in the labour market is being felt by the younger people. To minimise the potential scarring effect of young adults, policymakers should ramp up capacity of highly quality training programmes in the months ahead. Policies that act to tackle the root causes of high rents will also disproportionately benefit younger adults who risk otherwise being left behind. Minister, a scheme like I am suggesting would put all youths on equal footing to develop into their best selves. Surely that is what we should aspire to give all our youth here in our country. And that is exactly what Senator Lynn Rowan was talking about. Thank you.